What's up, folks? Episode 4 of the cast, the New Nation Project. We had No Kings protest. We've had a lot of things going on in the country. A lot of folks have been vocal about what's happening. But one thing that I've noticed is a lot of complaining from folks that don't necessarily agree with the protests or the rallies. So many radical thinkers complained about the No Kings rallies and protests, about them not being impactful or not being a way to affect change. They complained about it being performative. They said, now? What next? Well, those events are for awareness and to gather the people together in large enough numbers so that the local and national work has enough foot soldiers to actually do the things that can affect change. Unity of mission is absolutely critical when dealing with a whole bunch of folks who are angry for a whole bunch of different reasons in a whole bunch of different places. Some of these folks are angry and don't even understand why. They just know that things are going wrong. And then there are people that are so tuned in, they understand exactly what's happening and how we got here. But that anger is useless if you can't direct it and repurpose that energy into something useful. And the first key to revolution or rebellion or whatever you want to call it, you got to get enough people in the same room together. That is the start. You've got to unify against the common enemy or towards the common goal at the bare minimum to get everybody on the same page. Revolution requires people capable of separating from capitalism. It does. For what we got going on in this country right now, if we can't separate from capitalism, we stand no chance to reverse the things that have been done. We are married to capitalism. So the radical folks that always do all this complaining about what's happening in the country and all the protests and all the rallies and how they're not doing anything and how it's useless to have all these people out here dancing and singing together and waving flags and posters. Well, what do you want folks to do? Are you advocating for outright complete shutdown? Are you advocating for violence resistance? Are you advocating for dismantling the system of capitalism so we have the ability to instill something better? That is perfect. That's all fine and good. But one thing you have to realize, in order to separate from capitalism, we need enough folks that can hunt, fish, trap, farm, cultivate, medicate, communicate, and defend. If you can't do any of those things in enough numbers to sustain the population, you are not ready for revolution. It's very easy to be contrarian. It's very easy to speak negative about all the protests and rallies and all the organization of all these events that are anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, anti-white nationalism, and to offer an alternative of revolt or get rid of capitalism or let's do something more extreme. You're asking people to die. Because I know for a fact there are people out there that cannot hunt, cannot fish, don't know how to fire a gun, don't know how to clean a weapon, don't know how to apply a tourniquet, don't know how to do any of the things that separating from the system of capitalism would require in order for us to affect the system of capitalism. We're not even ready for even mildly disrupting the cogs of capitalism. And it's very easy to get out here and speak negatively about folks that are trying to do something because you want them to do more without understanding that you're not even prepared to do the things you're asking other people to do in the numbers that you would need them to do in order to actually affect the system. We have people like asking for like nationwide shutdowns. Let's stop going to work. Let's just stop doing everything. Shut it down for a month. We can do that. Man, we are not in a position to do that. We don't have enough people that could sustain themselves or sustain their communities. We don't even have enough community anymore in order for us to do something like that right now. Not saying we can't get there, but this idea that we could just shut down capitalism, we could make them bend to our will, we cannot. We can't do it yet. As radical as I would love us to be, as much as I want things to change now, as much as I want white nationalism and white supremacy to hurt and be painful and racism to hurt and be expensive, we're not in a position in large enough numbers for us to disrupt those systems without participating in those systems. It's just not realistic. And as the shutdown goes over a month long, our ability to organize, manage needs, and support one another is going to be challenged. I'm not lost on the effects of the shutdown. I completely understand them, but I still stand strong in the belief that this was the right decision by the Senate Dems and they need to not bend the knee. Right now, we have a tyrannical governance, a government that just does not care about the people and is doing what it wants to do. And anything that we can do to slow or outright stop its progression is invaluable. You've probably seen by now all of the election results. The thing with all this takeover process and why Project 2025 was so aggressive in its timelines is because the longer it takes to get the things done that they want done, the more likely it is that people will see the negative effects of the early decisions, and the resistance and the inertia against the policies and principles of MAGA and Project 2025 will be harder and harder to instill. The judges will start getting more data to use. The people themselves will start resisting. The folks that may have voted for this will start to have doubts. Slowing it down is key to stopping it and giving us the opportunity to get to an election like we just had and having so many blue shifts, not just in people running for opportunities and running for roles, but for people in areas that were decidedly red before have shifted significantly blue. And the more that happens and the longer it takes and the slower that train goes, the more likely it is that we'll be able to stop it. And for the folks that are, oh, it's not that bad what Trump is doing, who still think we're overreacting because people can still go to the movies, sport leagues are still playing, you can still watch TV, there's nobody knocking on everybody's door. They're not dragging out people from work, or the right people, at least in their eyes. It's bad. It really is bad, and no one is overreacting. We have a a police force that is unaccountable to anyone. They do whatever they want, regardless of the judge's precedent, law precedent. They're acting purely at the behest of the government right now, and they're doing whatever they want to do, and there's no consequences or repercussions coming to them. It's bad, folks. It is bad. It will only get worse if we don't fight to slow it down. But for all the people that say it's not that bad, it can't be that bad, people are still, going about their lives and having fun and seeing these music festivals and people having parties and doing all this stuff. Cool. But to you, I say, go look up at the lifestyle of German in the 30s. Go take a look. The Olympics still happened. Theaters and restaurants were still open. Don't be fooled that because modern conveniences still exist and folks that still have the freedom to move around, that what's happening isn't a complete threat to everyone that's not in the elite classes. We are getting kinetically engaged with fishermen. We're just bombing boats. No evidence of them being drug runners. We're killing people extrajudicially, using the military, sending the footage out like it's supposed to be good. We're threatening war in South America, building up troops and building up war. The war machine is spooling up in South America for Venezuela. We've got the president talking about doing something in Nigeria because Christians are being attacked in Nigeria. We are on the precipice of restarting nuclear arms testing. We're accepting public bribes for pardons and acting like we don't know who those people are. We're destroying historic properties, we're stripping the nation for parts and selling them to the highest bidder, and we're alienating our country from the rest of the world. We don't have any money for SNAP, but we have $40 billion to give to Argentina, as that dude was waving around a chainsaw in front of Elon Musk talking about how what he was doing to his country was going to make it better. But yet, that same country backstabbed us and made a deal with China to buy soybeans, and now we have U.S. farmers that not only can't sell their beef, but also can't sell their soybeans. And that same country that we gave $40 billion to is getting paid on both ends by screwing the U.S. And for all the people that are adjacent or support what's going on, and this is what I voted for, I'm tired of seeing that, I'm tired of hearing that. If that's what you voted for, by all means, stand on that. But I want you to be very clear. I want to be very clear to you, if you happen to be listening to this, because most people that think that way won't listen to what I'm saying. If you made $1 a minute for every minute of your life, it would take you 32 years to make $1 billion. And there's not enough melanin, a lack thereof, or disdain for brown folks, disdain for immigrants, hatred for the other, that'll get you into the party of billionaires. And you'll be right beside us as that ship goes down. Because guess what? Your xenophobia, racism, homophobia, sexism isn't a value to those people. It is a tool that they can use to manipulate public consensus, guide the narrative, and destroy the other. It is a class race at its heart. It is a class war at its heart that uses race and xenophobia and all those other things to power it. It's fueled by it. They're banking on folks getting angry enough and getting hungry enough to do the things that they've done historically for survival. They want to escalate government violence. They want to sanction more government violence because they know the longer and slower this takeover takes, the more likely it is it's going to fail. And the sooner they can activate direct military resources to quell dissent, the better. For them, at least. It's nasty times out here, y'all, and it's only going to get worse. But let me tell you something about it. Living in the social and political climate is tough enough, but it's even tougher being a parent of young kids. The racism, xenophobia, homophobia, the sexism, all of the things that are being brought front and center right now in this country, being amplified, being given the green light, it's making it really tough. It's always been tough to be a parent in this country, but it's even harder for someone like me, um, a black dad. My kids don't know that they're black kids yet. They don't know what being a black kid means for the expectations of their behavior and the limitations and weaknesses that are waiting to jump out of them like a haunted hayfield actor hiding in the shadows. They don't know that they're black kids yet. They don't know what that means. And I struggle with that because I grew up with all the out loud questions about me and my peers' ability to be productive members of society, the soft spoken racism, the backhanded, oh, you're so well spoken, the uncomfortable curiosity and treating me like an oddity from well meaning folks when I had no problems public speaking, reading aloud, or emceeing events. And it's tough for me because my children are bright. They are. And I'm not just saying that because I'm their dad. I'm obviously supposed to say those things, but I want to be clear. My children are very bright. They love space. They know facts about all the planets in the solar systems, distant star systems. They talk about black holes randomly. They can both read, write, do math. They like doing experiments. They build toy circuits with me. They know how to cook and bake simple things. They memorize things. They can recall music, and they just turned 4 and 6. They're doing things that children their age don't necessarily do. They talk about the immune system with me. We talk about the human body. We talk about digestion. We talk about how things work. They are very engaged in science and tech. They do math. They talk about math. My son understands the concept of multiple infinities. My daughter loves music, and not just to the point where she's like singing songs and doing all that stuff, but she loves music. She pays attention to music. They're very gifted. And I know that those gifts and the things that they can express are going to bring them in front of people and in front of situations similar to the ones that I came up with when I grew up. The rejection from my own people saying that I talk white or I'm a nerd and I think I'm better than them because I know XYZ or understand XYZ or don't like XYZ. And then you got the outside world and all the microaggressions and all the presuppositions about their intellect, their emotional intelligence, or how they're going to behave. And I struggle with trying to allow them to keep their innocence and keep their childhood while figuring out how to vaccinate them against what's to come. Because it was bad enough for me being an 80s baby growing up, having teachers think that I was bougie or too good, or family members even talking about negatively about me because I was into science and reading and all those things. But when you have a algorithm driven society that has greenlit the kind of things that were hushed before and whispered, it makes it even harder, because I really want to build up their immune systems and their internal confidence and their belief system in themselves. So when those battles do come, they're prepared and they can move with the grace and power of Simone Biles and just plow through the bullshit and move on with their heads held high, and without having to punch down at someone else in order to feel good about themselves. Because that's one thing that this white supremacist, white nationalist thing has brought to my mind as well. White supremacy is weird to me. It's extremely weird to me. White folks have, for the most part, run the modern world. They've been at the forefront of everything through whatever mechanisms they've decided to employ. They have won. But there's something about white supremacy that just confuses me. If you believe you are supreme, if you believe that you are the pinnacle of what people can be, why do you have so much energy devoted to pushing other folks down? You're winning. I've never seen someone win a race or being in front of a race and turn around and just start punching the people behind them. You're winning. Why so much anger at folks that are just trying to make things better for themselves? You won the White House. You have the House and the Senate. You have the Supreme Court at your whim. You're getting everything that you want right now. You're getting rid of brown folks indiscriminately. You're getting rid of welfare queens, and you're doing whatever it is that you would like to do with very little resistance from the powers that be, because they co-opted your mission. And the checks and balances ain't checking and balancing right now. All right? You're winning. So why is it that you have to have someone to punch down on, someone to hate, someone to be angry at? I don't understand it. Is it because you realize that you're not supreme? Is it because you realize that the people you're punching down at, if given the same opportunities as you, would do even better than you've done? As somebody that is pro-black, I completely understand why you would be afraid, because black people are amazing. We can take shit and turn it into the most amazing. That's just what we do. And I think white supremacists know that. They know that if the shoe was on the other foot, as far as society has gone and all the things that we've done that have been great, if we were in control, we would have done even greater. And I think they can't understand our joy in general, because black folks just have this natural joy. We find a way to find happiness and positives in every situation and scenario. And we wouldn't even bother them if we were in those same positions. We don't think about what y'all are doing. That's why it's always weird to me that white supremacists always have opinions on what black folks are doing, and how we raise our families and how our culture is and all that. We don't think about what white people are doing. We don't. We don't care what you're doing. As long as you're not trying to harm us, harm our people, harm our environment, we don't care what you're doing. Put the raisins wherever you want to put them. I don't care. We don't care. But as soon as black folks start to do something, here comes white supremacists trying to say something negative about it, stop us from enjoying it. Let us be. Leave us alone. And it's ridiculous how a lot of folks act like the world's not on fire. We got folks burying their head in the sand, acting like politics isn't real, and we just gotta wait. This is normal times. All them people are gonna be found in 1,000 years, and we're gonna be looking back historically, and it's gonna make no sense how wrong they were. I choose to acknowledge what's going on and address all this and all the shit that's going on in the world. And I don't let it beat me down, because I still take time to find things that bring me joy. Music festivals, taking walks instead of driving, playing made-up games with my children, lifting weights in a new gym, and laughing at people's reactions when I do some alien shit that for me feels normal, but then I realize a lot of people can't deadlift 600 pounds. It's crazy out here, but we've got to find ways to steal joy back and anchor it into your spirit and into our minds. It's dangerous times. And I know folks want some radical change. They want to switch. They want things to just be better immediately. And I know we can make things better. I know we can, but we have to do the work in the background to prepare for it. And a lot of folks were caught off guard because they didn't think the things that are going on right now would actually occur, because they didn't realize that so many people would be so submissive and willing to support the bullshit. We've got a lot of work to do, y'all. Got my Packers stuff on. Packers about to play the Eagles. Lay the egg against the Panthers. The Panthers are a solid team, though, man. They run the ball good. They play good defense. But Matt LaFleur was doing a lot of BS, man, with the play calling. He had some injuries. Tucker Kraft went down. Hope he gets better, get well soon. I hope he gets on the Christian Watson plan and gets that knee healthy and comes back just as explosive. But I'm looking forward to see what the Pack does against the Eagles. Pack tends to play up against better teams and play down against bad teams. That's a coaching thing. We should be dominating folks when we can, because that confidence carries over. Getting wins in sequence creates winning. It's a compound interest thing. You do things that help you win and dominate, and it just carries over from week to week. You might still have slip ups, but you can't have this consistent playing down to the competition. If you're supposed to beat somebody, you're supposed to put your foot on their neck. So you don't have to do anything special when you play against teams that are equally talented or better talented. You have confidence in what works, and you just can go out there and do your thing. I still have faith in my team. You know what I mean? We're still one of the top teams in the NFL. Ugly loss against the Browns, ugly loss against the Panthers. Similarities in both games. I really think, though, that we're going to be there in the end. I had to end the podcast on something a little lighter than white supremacy and racism and, radical takeover of the government. But I hope y'all take the time to listen. Thanks for lending me your ear. And thanks for listening to If I May Speak. Peace.